Dragons. They have appeared throughout history. Quetzalcoatl, the Long, and the dragons of Europe, to name a few. I'm not saying any vaguely reptilian creature from myth, legend, or religion are dragons, but that humans seem to consistently imagine these reptilian beings. I don't imagine dragons will leave our imaginations for a very long time. They still persist to this day. They appear in our stories, art, books, TV shows, and video games. Perhaps dragons are innately human, since they seem to unfortunately not exist. It's August, baby! You know what that means. Smaugust! For those of you who don't know, Smaugust is a month-long art challenge where you typically design a new dragon every day based on a different prompt for each day. Let's get into it. To start off day 1 of Smaugust, alien. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word alien? For me, it's a deep-sea creature, but there's ocean-adjacent prompts for the later days. Originally, I wanted the design to be an orange dragon resembling a jellyfish while having a white mask for a face, but it wasn't working out how I would have liked. So, I decided to go with a more ethereal look. Plus, I'm not very educated in xenobiology. I knew I liked the wings facing upwards, so I kept that aspect for the design. They reminded me of the divine gate from Shadow of the Erdtree. I would be lying if I said I wasn't thinking about Miraidon a little bit while designing this guy. I really felt like this dragon needed extra limbs or appendages. I messed around with the idea of it having human arms, but that felt too easy. I then thought about giving it flippers like an Anomalocaris, but I ultimately landed on giving him 2 pairs of mantis arms. Sometimes people look up to the heavens for answers and explanations. Whole pantheons can spawn from the constellations. Do you think people consider the possibility that their deities don't resemble them at all? Do you think people know that the stars are capable of staring back? Day 2, Oceanic. All I know is, I couldn't get the skulls of short-necked plesiosaurs out of my head, such as Chronosaurus and Leopleurodon. During the design sketching phase, I was thinking of incorporating lionfish elements, but I quickly abandoned that idea. I also gave it a Mosasaurus tail. Originally, I based the skull on Chronosaurus, but I wanted the mandibles to have a slightly more crocodilian shape, so I referenced Leopleurodon instead. I felt like the whole design was too safe, so I increased the size of the flippers to better resemble the wings of manta rays. I have tried to warn people that these animals are not killing machines. They are dangerous and deserve our respect from a distance. You can tell they don't even like the taste of humans because they immediately spit out any parts of them. Despite my knowledge that I share with people, they continue to demonize these majestic creatures. Day 3, Arctic. I've already designed a Tundra Dragon before, so the challenge for me was designing something unique. Look, I've started watching Dungeon Measure recently, and so I would be lying if I said this design wasn't partially inspired by Phelan. At least I gave the thing a mammalian head. My main goal for this illustration was for the colors to look lovely and for the piece to look atmospheric. Maybe I'm just growing old, but I really feel like I didn't nail those things here. Some people have said otherwise. I guess that's what matters when you've only got a few hours to make an illustration. There are legends from survivors that claim if you get yourself lost on the verge of death summoning these mountain ranges, there's a rare chance you'll be able to see what looks like a sunset in the blinding snowstorm. Follow it, and depending on how you've lived out your life, it may be your salvation. Day 4, Plausible. For this one, I wanted to mix it up and basically have it be a highly derived Draco lizard. I basically mishmashed a bunch of the relatives of the Draco lizard together and tried to make something cool. I think I wanted it to be bipedal, so I gave it Prostosuchus legs. I really liked the design I made, but I woke up pretty late this day and I was falling behind, so I had to rush the rendering phase, unfortunately. Don't let the size of these monsters intimidate you. They're pretty timid, but that also doesn't mean they're not dangerous. They can still mess you up pretty badly if you're not careful. The wings, oh, don't worry about that. They're not big enough to help the creature fly. It's more accustomed to being on the ground. It uses those wings to impress its potential mates. Such weird creations. Day 5, Feathered. I know it would have made more sense to make this creature avian, but I wanted to see if I could challenge myself. I wanted this dragon to feel powerful. I want this guy to have forward-facing horns, but I felt like it looked too much like Sadeas from Monster Hunter. I made the finger hooves, but it felt random, and it didn't fit the sharp shapes that I was using for the rest of the body. So I made them look like normal claws again. Just to up the intimidation factor a bit, I made it black, white, and red. Red axes used to be respected creatures, but ever since the nearby kingdom has been encroaching on their home, there has been more and more human and red axe conflicts. Day 6, Flat. Let this be a lesson learned. I can actually make cool artwork if I give myself more than 2 to 3 hours to work on it. This guy isn't really that flat, but I really wanted to design a dragon that heavily resembled a stonefish. To not make it one-to-one with a stonefish, I gave it toad eyes and a weird mouth. I wanted it to feel big and imposing. I really wanted it to not only take up space where it lived, but on the canvas too. It's so wide, even the canvas can't handle it. Made it green, so it could blend into its environment. I painted the lighting so that it would look wet and or slimy, but because the lighting isn't directly from the sun, the lighting is a light gray as it reflects the cloudy sky. I made its irises resemble frog eyes, but I wanted them to have the overall eye design of a monitor lizard. I really like the idea of it having a creature's tail popping out of its mouth, so I could have tried to design a whole new dragon for the tail, but I think an alligator tail was easier, and it still made sense since it's a swamp and everything. Are you mad or just plain stupid? Those monsters may be big, but the water and vegetation are more than hospitable to it. If you really must traverse the mire, then I recommend you go and talk to our local boatman. Day 7, Octopus. And would you look at that? I don't have a recording for this one because the file corrupted. Well, despite the fact that the prompt was octopus, I primarily used the giant squid and comb jelly for reference. When giant squids are sick and dying, they seem to have their skin torn, and the contrast between the orange and white is kind of aesthetic. I won't lie, Namiao really came into mind for the wings of the octopus dragon. When I was trying to design the head, I realized I could give it a beak like what an octopus's have. At some point, I was reminded of the new D&D Copper Dragon redesign. Yes, I'm more than confident this route is the best for our delivery. I've been hearing rumors of sailors going a few too many miles out into the ocean just to never return. I think it was a kraken. Don't look at me like that, like I've lost my mind. I've gotten to glance at it too. The deeper the water, the more likely it is to be lurking beneath your ship. And there we have it, the first week of Smaugust. Let me know which one was your guys' favorite below. Any thoughts and feedback are welcome. I might be a few days behind for Smaugust, but stuff happens. I doubt I'll be able to really catch up, but I'm gonna do all the days regardless. I really love seeing all of your guys' artwork and the artwork of other people that have been using our prompts. Want to check out more of my artwork? Feel free to check out my card in the description below. Patreon helps me to upload these videos faster, and in return I post tons of early access artwork and works in progress weeks in advance. Though, it's not required. You guys taking the time to even watch my videos fills me with joy and a drive to keep making these videos. Want to join my art Discord? That's down there too. Have a beautiful day everyone. Bye bye!